Daniel Cross sat at the corner of his small apartment, staring at the dull glow of his cracked phone screen. The rent was late again, bills piled on the table, and his job at the shipping warehouse barely paid enough for food. His landlord had already warned him twice, and Daniel knew the next notice would not be a warning. It would be an eviction. For weeks he had been scrolling through online ads, hoping for some side work. Most were scams, and he knew it, but desperation made him reckless. That was when he saw it. Answer a few questions. Change your life forever. Wealth beyond imagination awaits. Daniel chuckled at first. It looked like the usual spam, but there was something different about it. The survey was not asking for his bank details or personal ID. It simply asked strange questions like, do you consider loyalty more important than strength? Would you protect a stranger at the cost of your own safety? What do you value more, freedom or unity? He frowned. Weird. This doesn't look like a scam, more like some psychological test. Still, he filled it out, clicking through each question with half amusement and half exhaustion. When he finished, the screen flashed a simple message. You are chosen. Await your reward. Daniel laughed so hard he nearly dropped the phone. Yeah, right, my reward. Probably another ad for Miracle Vitamins. He tossed the phone onto the bed and went back to worrying about overdue bills. But that night, something strange happened. The street outside his apartment was quiet, the usual hum of traffic fading as midnight approached. Daniel lay in bed half asleep when a deep humming sound filled the air. It wasn't like any car or plane he had ever heard. It was low, powerful, and steady, as if the very air vibrated. He sat up, blinking. What the? Through his window he saw light. Not the pale orange glow of street lamps, but a shimmering silver-blue beam pouring down from the sky. It bathed the empty street in brilliance, almost beautiful, almost terrifying. His heart raced. He stumbled to the window, pressed his face to the glass, and gasped. A shape descended slowly, smooth, metallic, unlike anything human hands had built. It was not a helicopter, not a drone, not a plane, it was a ship. Daniel staggered back. No way, this is insane. The hum grew louder, then softened as the ship landed silently in the middle of the street. A section of its side slid open, glowing with the same silver-blue light. Then came the voice. Daniel Cross, it said, not through his ears but directly into his mind. Calm, firm, and impossible to ignore. You have been chosen. Step forward. Daniel's mouth went dry. His first thought was to hide under the bed. His second thought was to grab his phone and call someone. But no one would believe him. And then a dangerous thought crossed his mind. What if this is the reward? What if they're here with riches, advanced tech, credits? Slowly, almost against his own will, Daniel found himself walking to the door. Outside, the night air was cool. The street was empty except for the ship, which shimmered like liquid steel. A ramp extended, touching the cracked pavement. Daniel swallowed hard. If this is a dream, it's the strangest one I've ever had. He stepped forward. The moment his foot touched the ramp, the silver-blue light wrapped around him. His body lifted gently off the ground, carrying him upward into the ship. He did not resist. Fear mixed with curiosity, and behind both a spark of hope. Maybe this is real. Maybe I'm about to be rich. The interior of the ship was vast, glowing with soft light that seemed to come from nowhere. The air was cool and carried a faint scent like fresh rain. Walls curved elegantly, smooth and alive, as though the ship itself breathed. Figures approached. Tall, robed beings with slender frames and luminous eyes. They moved with grace, each step measured. Daniel froze as they surrounded him, yet their presence felt calm, not threatening. One of them spoke aloud this time, though the voice still echoed strangely in his head. Daniel Cross, you have been selected by the Council of Stars. You answered with truth. You are worthy. Daniel forced a laugh, his voice trembling. Worthy of what? Look, if you're gonna abduct me, at least tell me why. The being tilted its head slightly. Not abduction, reward. Daniel's heart pounded. Reward? Like money? Technology? A new life? Because I could really use money. A ripple passed among the beings as if they found his words strange or amusing. Then the leader extended a hand and the air shimmered. Two figures stepped forward from the light. Daniel blinked. His breath caught in his throat. They were not like the robed beings. They were different. Closer to human in form, yet undeniably alien. The first, taller and radiant, had skin faintly glowing with golden patterns that shifted like embers under the surface. Her eyes shone bright, fierce, and curious. She carried herself like a warrior, each step powerful and proud. The second was softer in presence with skin that shimmered silver blue, her eyes deep and calm, like the ocean at night. Her movements were graceful, her expression gentle, thoughtful. They stopped before him and the leader spoke again. These are your companions, Alira of the Fireborn, Seren of the Starweavers. They are your reward. Daniel's mouth fell open. My what? Your wives, the leader said simply. The words hit him like a thunderclap. Daniel stumbled back, waving his hands. Wait, no. This has to be a mistake. I thought I was getting money. I can't even afford rent, and now you're telling me I'm married? To... He gestured helplessly at the two alien women staring at him. Alira tilted her head, studying him with a fiery smile. So fragile, yet chosen. Interesting. Seren's calm gaze lingered on him. Do not fear. This path is woven, not forced. The stars seldom err. Daniel's legs felt weak. He rubbed his temples. This can't be happening. I didn't sign up for this. I just filled out some dumb survey. The leader's luminous eyes met his. You sought reward. This is greater than wealth. Through you, bonds will form. Through you, peace may rise. Accept and you will walk among stars. Daniel wanted to shout, to argue, to demand a way back home, but a strange silence filled him. Two alien women stood before him waiting. One strong and bold, the other calm and wise, both looking at him not as a mistake but as something important. His heart pounded in confusion. Money? Oh, this was not what he asked for, but maybe, just maybe, it was something far bigger. Daniel Cross sat frozen inside the alien ship, his heart still racing after the leader's announcement. His reward was not gold, not treasure, not even futuristic technology. It was two alien women who were now introduced as his wives. Alira of the Fireborn stood tall, her golden-patterned skin glowing faintly, like embers beneath glass. Her fiery eyes studied him with the sharpness of a warrior. Seren of the Starweavers stood beside her, calm and graceful, her silver-blue skin reflecting the soft light of the ship, her gaze deep and steady. Daniel rubbed his face with both hands, trying to wake himself. This can't be real. I filled out a survey. A survey? I didn't sign up for... He gestured at them wildly. Marriage. The leader of the robed beings bowed slightly. Your answers proved you are worthy. Bonds between our kind and yours must be built. This union is not a burden but an honor. Honor? Daniel laughed nervously. I can't even pay rent on Earth. How am I supposed to be a husband to two alien women? I don't even know what your cultures eat for breakfast. Alira stepped forward. Her voice carried strength, but her smile was sharp with amusement. You look fragile, human, yet you dare speak boldly. I respect that. Perhaps you are not as weak as you seem. Daniel's eyes widened. Fragile? Weak? Lady, I nearly fainted when you showed up glowing like a bonfire. You could crush me with one finger. Alira smirked. True, but strength is not all that matters. You answered with courage on the survey. That is why you stand here now. Seren moved closer, her voice soft, flowing like a calm river. Do not let fear chain you. The path ahead is strange, but it is woven by the stars themselves. We are not forced. We chose to meet you. Daniel stared at her, stunned. You chose this? You actually agreed to marry a random human? Seren's silver-blue eyes glimmered with serenity. Not random. Chosen. The cultural divide. The ship carried them away from Earth. Daniel felt weight press on his chest as the blue planet grew smaller through a viewing window. He had dreamed of escaping his problems, but this was beyond imagination. As the stars stretched into long streams and the ship entered faster than light travel, Alira and Seren began explaining. Alira spoke first, her tone proud and confident. I am Alira, daughter of the Fireborn clans. My people are warriors who live in the blazing deserts of Karos Prime. To us, union is not only about companionship, but about strength. By joining with you, I bring honor to my clan and forge a bridge with humanity. Daniel gulped. So you're basically a warrior princess? Alira grinned. Princess, perhaps. But unlike your human princesses, I fight, bleed, and lead my people in battle. Daniel raised his eyebrows. Yeah, definitely tougher than any princess I've ever heard of. Seren spoke next, her voice gentle but carrying quiet authority. I am Seren of the Starweavers. My people live among the drifting crystal cities of Illyria. We are seekers of wisdom, keepers of stories and builders of harmony. Through union we weave destinies together. You are now part of that weave. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. So let me get this straight. One of you is a fire warrior, the other is a space philosopher, and me? I'm just a guy who failed to pay his internet bill last week. Elira laughed, the sound like crackling flames. Perhaps you underestimate yourself, Saren added softly. The stars seldom choose by mistake. Clash of worlds. The next days aboard the ship were overwhelming. Daniel tried to adjust, but everything was foreign. The food, the customs, even the way the ship's halls seemed alive. Meals were strange glowing fruits, steaming drinks that fizzed like sparks, and bread that tasted faintly of metal. Elira attacked every meal like it was fuel for battle, tearing into food with confidence. Serene, however, ate slowly, almost ritually, as though every bite had meaning. Daniel poked suspiciously at a glowing fruit on his plate. If this thing moves, I'm not eating it. Elira laughed loudly. You fear food? How did your species survive? Serene tilted her head. To him, this is strange. His people have not tasted the stars. Daniel sighed. Yeah, well, back home it's burgers and pizza, not whatever this is. Both women stared blankly. Burgers? Pizza? They echoed together. Daniel groaned. Forget it, but it wasn't only food. Even their daily routines clashed with him. Elira rose early, practicing combat drills in a training chamber, her body glowing with heat as she struck against floating orbs. Serene meditated in silence, her presence filling rooms with calm energy. Daniel tried to fit in, but every step felt clumsy. When he entered Elira's training hall, she handed him a staff. Show me your strength, she challenged. Daniel held the weapon awkwardly. I took karate when I was 12. Does that count? Elira attacked without warning, her strikes fast and sharp. Daniel yelped, dodging clumsily, his staff barely blocking the blows. He tripped, rolled, and ended up flat on his back. Elira stood over him, laughing. You fall fast, human, but you rise fast too. That matters more. Serene, watching from the side, smiled faintly. Courage is not in never falling. It is in rising again. Daniel groaned from the floor. Great, I'm a galactic punching bag. Some reward. Misunderstanding's life on the ship was not only difficult, it was awkward. Daniel struggled to understand his role. The word wives still rang in his ears. One evening, the three sat together in a quiet chamber. Daniel finally blurted, Look, about this marriage thing. I don't know what you expect from me. On Earth, marriage means, well, living together, sharing life, building a family, but I barely know you. And honestly, I didn't agree to this. Elira frowned. In my culture, union is forged in fire. Agreement is not spoken, it is proven through action. You fought today, even when you could not win. That is agreement enough, Saren added gently. In mine, union is a thread spun by destiny. Choice is real, but so is the weave of fate. I do not force you, Daniel. I only walk beside the path that has chosen us. Daniel buried his face in his hands. This is crazy. You both talk like poets, and I can't even figure out how to open the bathroom door without asking for help. Elira and Serene exchanged a glance. Elira chuckled. Saren's lips curved in a soft smile, for reasons Daniel could not understand. They did not seem disappointed. Instead, they looked at him with patience, as if waiting for him to catch up. A glimpse of danger on the third night. The ship suddenly shook. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and Daniel was thrown from his seat. Elira instantly grabbed her weapon, her golden patterns blazing with heat. Serene placed a hand on the wall, eyes narrowing in concentration. What's happening? Daniel shouted. The leader of the robed beings appeared, voice steady despite the alarm. We are pursued. Pirates from the outer belt. They oppose your union. They do not want humanity included in the Great Alliance. Daniel's stomach dropped. Wait, pirates? As in space pirates? Elira grinned fiercely, her eyes burning. At last, something worth striking. Seren whispered, her voice calm but urgent. This is a test. The stars send trials to prove the worth of bonds. Daniel stumbled back, panic rising. Hold on, I didn't sign up for space battles either. But deep inside, he knew. Whether he liked it or not, his life had already changed. His choices would no longer affect only himself. 2 alien women now stood by his side, and entire civilizations were watching. And if he failed, humanity's chance at peace with the stars might fail too. Daniel swallowed hard, forcing courage into his trembling voice. All right. Tell me what I need to do. The alarms kept echoing through the vast halls of the ship, a haunting sound that made Daniel's chest tighten. His heart pounded against his ribs like a drum as the silver-blue lights flickered along the walls. The once calm, elegant vessel now felt like a cage rattled by unseen hands. Daniel clung to the nearest railing. Space pirates? You've got to be kidding me. This is like some bad science fiction movie. Elira was already armed. Her golden markings glowed brighter than ever, pulsing like fire racing under her skin. She gripped her plasma spear with both hands, her fiery eyes burning with anticipation. Finally, some real action. I will make them regret ever chasing us. Serene, however, stood quiet, her silver-blue gaze focused on the glowing walls of the ship. Her lips moved softly, whispering words Daniel could not understand. It was as if she was speaking to the ship itself. The leader of the robed beings appeared beside them, his voice calm despite the chaos. The pirates are from the Targan clans. They do not wish for humanity to join the Council. If they destroy you now, the Union collapses and the Alliance fails. Daniel felt his knees wobble. Wait, so I'm not just some unlucky guy stuck in an alien marriage? People are actually willing to kill me for this? Not only you, Serene said softly, finally looking at him. They will try to take us as well. Together we are the symbol they wish to erase. Daniel groaned. Great, I wanted money. Instead I got marriage, space politics, and now pirates trying to erase me. Perfect. Elira smirked, spinning her spear. Stop whining, human. This is your chance to prove you are worthy, Daniel snapped. Worthy? I can barely hold a stick and you expect me to fight glowing alien pirates? But before anyone could answer, the ship jolted violently, throwing him to the ground. Through a nearby viewing window he saw it, the pirate vessel. It was massive, shaped like a jagged claw tearing through space. Its hull glowed with crimson lights, its weapons flashing as they fired beams that shook the council ship. Forced into action, the robed leader turned to Daniel. You cannot remain hidden. They will target you first. If you fall, the bond fails. Daniel's mouth went dry. So what do you want me to do? Throw my rent bills at them? Elira grabbed his arm, pulling him up. You may not be trained, but you have spirit. Stay near me. Watch, learn, and act when the moment comes. Serene added, her tone calm but firm. Courage is not born in comfort. It is born in fire. Trust yourself, Daniel muttered. Easy for you to say. You two glow and fight. I just panic and complain. But deep down he knew running wasn't an option. He had been chosen whether he liked it or not. And maybe, just maybe, this was the universe's way of forcing him to prove himself. The battle begins. The ship shuddered as the pirates latched on with magnetic claws. Metallic thuds echoed through the halls as boarding pods slammed into the vessel. Sparks rained down from the ceiling as the walls trembled. Boarders! Elira shouted, her voice blazing with excitement. She rushed toward the corridor, her spear glowing with burning plasma. Serene motioned to Daniel. Stay close to us. Do not separate. Daniel followed reluctantly, his legs shaking. The three reached a wide corridor where the air hissed and twisted. Panels exploded outward as pirate warriors stormed in. Daniel's eyes widened in terror. The pirates were monstrous. Tall, armored in jagged metal, their faces hidden behind crimson helmets that glowed with hungry light. Each carried brutal weapons, energy axes, crackling blades, plasma rifles. Elira charged first, roaring with fiery pride. Her spear spun like lightning, slashing through the air. She struck with blazing force, knocking two pirates backward in an explosion of sparks. Her golden markings flared as she fought, a storm of fire and fury. Serene stood behind her, raising her hands. Threads of silver-blue energy flowed from her fingers, weaving patterns in the air. Invisible shields formed, blocking incoming blasts and redirecting them. Her calm presence balanced Elira's raging storm. And Daniel? He crouched behind a broken panel, his heart hammering like a war drum. Oh no, oh no, oh no, why did I ever click that stupid survey? Human improvisation, a pirate spotted Daniel and charged, axe raised high. Daniel's instincts screamed. He grabbed the nearest thing he could find, an abandoned maintenance tool, something like a heavy wrench with glowing tips. The pirate swung. Daniel yelped and ducked, the axe slamming into the wall with a shower of sparks. Without thinking, Daniel swung the wrench upward, hitting the pirate's helmet with a loud crack. The pirate stumbled, sparks flying from his suit. Elira's spear cut him down a second later, but she grinned at Daniel. Good, you fight with desperation, but you fight. Daniel panted, gripping the wrench tightly. I wasn't fighting. I was just Surviving, Siren's calm voice cut through the chaos. Survival is the first step of courage. Do not underestimate it. Daniel peeked around, his fear mixing with adrenaline. He realized something important. While the aliens fought with power and skill, they were predictable, bound by training. Daniel, on the other hand, had no training. His moves were clumsy, desperate, chaotic, and that made him unpredictable. He spotted a pirate raising a rifle. Daniel grabbed a loose cable from the wall, sparks dancing at its end, and flung it toward the enemy. The cable wrapped around the pirate's arm, shocking him into dropping the rifle. Alira finished him off with a blazing strike. Daniel gasped. It worked. I actually did something useful. Alira laughed. Perhaps you are not so useless after all. The turning point, more pirates poured in. The battle raged through the corridors, fire against steel, calm weaving against chaos. Daniel stumbled, tripped, swung wildly with his wrench, but somehow managed to stay alive. Then the pirate leader appeared. Taller than the rest, clad in crimson armor etched with jagged scars, he carried a massive energy blade that hummed with power. His voice boomed through the corridor. Human, you are not worthy of union. Your kind is weak. Today you die and your alliance dies with you. Daniel froze. Every eye turned to him. Alira stepped forward, spear raised. You will not touch him. Serene raised her hands, weaving silver light into a shield. His path is not ended here. But the pirate leader laughed, charging with terrifying speed. Alira blocked. Serene's shield shimmered, yet the leader's strength pushed them back. Sparks filled the air as metal clashed against energy. Daniel's breath came fast. His mind screamed at him to run. But then he saw it. The leader's exposed power core glowing faintly at the back of his armor. None of the others noticed it. Without thinking, Daniel acted. He grabbed a fallen pirate's blaster from the ground. The weapon was heavy and alien, but he aimed at the glowing spot and pulled the trigger. A searing beam shot out, striking the power core. The pirate leader roared as his armor sparked violently, energy surging out of control. Alira struck with her spear at that exact moment, piercing the weakened armor. The leader fell, his blade clattering to the floor. The remaining pirates froze. Their leader defeated, they retreated, dragging their wounded back to their ship. Moments later, the pirate vessel detached and vanished into the depths of space. Aftermath. The corridors fell silent except for the sound of Daniel's heavy breathing. He dropped the alien blaster, his hands trembling. Alira turned to him, her fiery eyes shining with pride. You saw the weakness. You struck true. Without you, we might have fallen. Serene stepped closer, her calm voice warm with respect. Do you see now, Daniel? You were not chosen by mistake. Humanity brings something different to the stars. Something we need. Daniel's legs finally gave out. He sat down on the floor, his heart still racing. I'm not a warrior. I'm not a hero. I'm just me. But somehow I didn't die. Alira knelt beside him, resting a strong hand on his shoulder. You are more than you believe, Serene added softly. The stars weave strange threads. Yours is stronger than you think. Daniel looked at the two women, one fierce as fire, the other calm as starlight. For the first time, he realized they weren't just strange aliens forced into his life. They were companions, partners who believed in him even when he didn't believe in himself. He let out a shaky laugh. Well, maybe I didn't get money, but I guess I got something money can't buy. Daniel sat in silence inside the council ship's resting chamber. His hand still trembled when he remembered the battle with the pirates. The clang of metal, the sparks, the screams, it all replayed in his mind like a nightmare. He had survived, somehow. But now survival didn't feel like enough. Across from him, Alira polished her plasma spear, her fiery golden pattern still glowing faintly after the fight. She looked at him with a rare softness in her fierce eyes. You fought well, human. Not with training, not with skill, but with heart. That matters more than you know. Serene sat nearby, her silver-blue glow bathing the chamber in calm light. She spoke gently. Do not let fear chain you, Daniel. The pirates were only one test. Greater trials wait ahead, yet you are not alone. Daniel leaned back, rubbing his face. I don't understand why everyone is treating me like I'm special. I'm not. I didn't ask for this. I wanted money, not destiny. Serene's lips curved in a faint smile. Often the paths we do not ask for are the ones that matter most. The council's summons. The next day, the leader of the robed beings entered with grave news. His luminous eyes shone brighter than usual. The Council of Stars demands your presence, Daniel Cross. They must decide if humanity will be accepted into the Alliance. The union with Elira and Seren is not enough. You must stand before them and prove your people's worth. Daniel nearly choked on the strange drink he was holding. Me, prove humanity's worth? To an entire galactic council? I can't even convince my old landlord that I was good for rent. Elira chuckled. The council values strength. Show them your courage and they will respect you, Seren added. They also value truth. Speak from your heart and they will listen. Daniel groaned. Oh great. A fiery speech and a show of courage. Two things I've never been good at. Still, there was no choice. The future of humanity, and his strange new life, now rested on what he would say before an audience of alien leaders. The journey to the council. The ship soared through hyperspace, carrying them toward the central world of the Alliance, Veora Prime. Daniel spent the journey pacing, muttering to himself, trying to practice words that never sounded right. Elira trained him in posture. Stand tall, shoulders back. Even if you fear, never show weakness. Seren guided him in breath. Slow, steady. Speak not only with your tongue, but with your spirit. Daniel sighed. You two sound like motivational coaches. Problem is, I'm still a nervous mess on the inside. But slowly he began to feel something new, a spark of determination. If he failed, it wasn't only his life at risk. The chance for peace between humanity and the stars might collapse. That thought weighed heavier than his fear. Arrival at Veora Prime. When the ship descended, Daniel's eyes widened in awe. Veora Prime was unlike anything he had ever imagined. A massive city stretched across a glittering ocean, towers of crystal and steel rising into the clouds. Flying ships glided through the sky, and bridges of light connected floating platforms that shimmered like constellations. Thousands of beings from dozens of species filled the grand avenues, tall, short-scaled, feathered, luminous, mechanical. It was as if every dream and nightmare of science fiction had come alive. Daniel whispered, "This is insane. I feel like a bug in the middle of a giant's playground." Elira placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Stand proud. You are here as chosen." Serene's calm gaze steadied him. "Do not see yourself as small. See yourself as different. That is your strength." The Council of Stars. They entered the Hall of Concord, a massive chamber with seats arranged in a great circle. Each seat held a representative of a different civilization. Some were armored titans, others delicate beings of light, others strange and insect-like. At the center stood a glowing platform waiting for Daniel. The hall fell silent when he stepped onto it. Hundreds of eyes, or their alien equivalents, stared at him. His throat went dry. A booming voice echoed from one of the council members, a towering reptilian being. "This human is untested. His species is young, violent, and reckless. Why should we trust him with bonds of unity?" Another, a crystalline being with a voice like ringing bells, added, "The pirates who attacked prove that humanity's presence will divide us. Better to end this union now." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Daniel's stomach twisted. He wanted to run, but Elira and Seren stood behind him, their presence like anchors. He took a shaky breath. "All right, Daniel. Time to speak. Don't mess this up." Daniel lifted his head, forcing his voice to steady. I know I don't look impressive. I'm not a warrior like Elira. I'm not wise like Seren. I'm just human, from a little planet that most of you probably never cared about until now." Some council members shifted impatiently, but others leaned forward with curiosity. He continued, louder this time. "Yes, humanity is young. Yes, we've made mistakes. We fight, we struggle. We sometimes destroy what we should protect. But we also endure. We survive when everything is against us. We find hope even in darkness." His eyes swept across the chamber. "When the pirates came, I was terrified. I'm not trained like Elira. I don't have powers like Seren, but I still fought. Not because I'm strong, but because I had to. Because I couldn't let the people beside me fall." A silence spread across the hall. Even the reptilian counselor paused, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. Daniel pressed on. "Humans are unpredictable. We're clumsy, we fail, but that makes us different. Where others follow traditions, we improvise. Where others give up, we keep trying. We find strength in places no one expects. Maybe that's what the galaxy needs right now. Something new, something untested, something willing to stumble but never stop." He glanced back at Elira and Seren, their eyes shining with pride. His voice softened. "I didn't come here looking for destiny. I came here looking for money to pay off debts. But instead I found something greater. Two people who believe in me even when I don't believe in myself. If humanity can learn to believe in each other the way they believed in me, then maybe we're ready for the stars. When he finished, the chamber was silent. The council decides. The reptilian counselor growled low, but his tone was less certain. Strange words, yet I cannot deny the courage shown in the pirate attack. The crystalline being's light flickered. Perhaps unpredictability is a gift, not a curse. Other voices rose, some in agreement, some still doubtful. At last, the High Chancellor, a luminous being with wings of pure energy, raised its hand. The council votes. Humanity shall be granted trial membership. Not because they are perfect, but because they bring something we lack: resilience born from struggle. The hall erupted in a mix of approval and protest, but the decision was final. Humanity was in. Daniel exhaled so deeply he almost collapsed. Alira gripped his arm, smiling fiercely. You spoke like a warrior. Seren touched his shoulder gently, her eyes warm. And like a dreamer. The stars listened. Bonds strengthened. That night, as the celebrations began across the city, Daniel stood on a balcony overlooking Veora Prime's glowing towers. He still couldn't believe what had happened. I actually did it, he whispered. I didn't trip over my words. I didn't faint, and they listened. Alira stepped beside him, crossing her arms. You are still fragile, but you have fire in your heart. That is why I respect you. Serene moved to his other side, her calm presence like cool water. You think you are ordinary, Daniel, but that is what makes you extraordinary. You remind us all of what we forget, that even the smallest thread can change the weave of destiny. Daniel looked at both of them. For the first time, he didn't feel like an outsider dragged into something beyond him. He felt like part of a team, no, a family. And as the stars shone above the alien city, he realized something incredible. He had not gained wealth, but he had gained trust, not just from Alira and Seren, but from the galaxy itself. Maybe humanity really did have a place among the stars. The celebration on Veora Prime lasted through the night, lights blazing across the alien towers, music echoing in strange but beautiful rhythms. Daniel stood in the middle of it all, still half in disbelief. Just a few weeks ago, he had been a broke human, desperate for money. Now he was the man who had convinced a galactic council to give humanity a chance. But celebration never lasted long in a galaxy filled with danger. Trouble brews early the next morning. Alarms echoed through the Crystal City. Sirens pulsed in tones Daniel didn't understand, but the urgency was clear. Alira was already in armor before he finished rubbing his eyes. Serene's glow dimmed as she whispered, Something comes. Something great. Daniel's heart sank. You've got to be kidding me. We just finished one problem. The robed emissary from the council rushed in. Pirates were only the beginning. A greater threat has sensed humanity's rising star. The Varric's Dominion approaches. They are not raiders. They are conquerors. Entire worlds have fallen to their fleets. The chamber seemed to grow colder. Daniel swallowed hard. And they're coming here. The emissary nodded grimly. They see weakness in the council's decision. If they crush the city, they crush the idea of humanity before it begins. Alira grinned, fire burning in her golden eyes. Let them try. I will break their blades with my spear. Seren shook her head gently. Strength alone will not stop them. We need unity, strategy, and courage. Daniel looked between them, dread rising in his chest. He had just convinced the galaxy to give humanity a chance. Now he had to fight to keep it. Preparing for war, the council gathered quickly. Great generals, strategists, and envoys debated over defense lines and fleet positions. Holograms of warships filled the chamber, their glowing outlines shifting across the star maps. Daniel sat quietly at first, overwhelmed. He had no training in strategy, no knowledge of alien fleets. What could he possibly add? But then he noticed something. The counselors argued endlessly, each pushing their own idea, refusing to compromise. They were divided. Daniel raised his hand nervously. Excuse me. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward him. His throat tightened, but he forced himself to continue. I may not know much about fleets or battle tactics, but I do know what happens when everyone fights for their own way. Nothing gets done. On Earth, when disaster hits, we don't always agree. But if we don't work together, we all lose. Right now, you're acting like enemies when you should be allies. The chamber fell silent. Even the reptilian counselor who had doubted him earlier tilted his head thoughtfully. The High Chancellor finally spoke. The human is correct. Division will doom us. Let us forge a united plan. Slowly, arguments softened and cooperation began. Daniel didn't know the science of war, but his words reminded them of something they had forgotten. Unity. The coming storm. The Variks fleet arrived within days. Dark, jagged ships cut through the void like blades of shadow. Their numbers dwarfed the defenders, their weapons capable of tearing apart entire cities. From the balcony of the Hall of Concord, Daniel saw the sky fill with fire as the first clashes began. Fleets of light met ships of darkness, explosions flashing like falling stars. Alyra stood beside him, spear in hand, her expression fierce. This is the fight I was born for. Seren placed a hand on Daniel's arm, her calm glow steadying him. And you, Daniel, this is where your choice matters most. Daniel's stomach churned. I'm not a soldier. I can't fly ships. What do you expect me to do? Alyra smirked. Be human. That is enough. Into the battle. When the Variks forces breached the city's shields, chaos erupted in the streets. Towering machines marched through the avenues, blasting apart defenses. Citizens fled in panic. Daniel found himself running alongside Alyra and Seren, ducking blasts and dodging falling debris. Alyra fought like a storm, her spear flashing arcs of golden light striking down machine after machine. Seren raised shimmering barriers of energy, shielding civilians as they fled. Daniel? He grabbed what he could, pipes, tools, anything, and used them to trip or distract enemy machines so Alyra could strike. He wasn't graceful, but he was relentless. At one point, a machine cornered a group of children. Daniel had no weapon, only a broken piece of metal pipe. His hands shook, but he stood between the machine and the kids. Hey, you want to fight? Come on then. The machine raised its weapon. Daniel thought he was done, but Alyra leapt from above, destroying it in one strike. She landed beside him, grinning. Reckless, foolish, brave, very human. Turning point, the defenders fought valiantly, but the Variks kept pushing. The council prepared to retreat, ready to abandon Veora Prime. Daniel refused. No, if you run, the Variks win more than the city. They win the idea that fear is stronger than hope. You can't let that happen. But the council was shaken. Their fleets were failing. Daniel thought desperately. He wasn't a warrior, but he remembered something from Earth. Resistance doesn't always mean overpowering the enemy. Sometimes it means outsmarting them. He turned to Seren. Can your energy bend signals? Like, confuse their communications? Seren's eyes glowed. Yes, if I focus. He turned to Alyra. And you're basically unstoppable up close. If we can break their coordination, can you lead a strike against their command ship? Alyra's grin widened. Gladly. Daniel stood tall. Then that's the plan. Not retreat, not surrender. We fight smarter. The council hesitated, but the High Chancellor finally nodded. Let the human's idea be tried. The final gamble as the battle raged. Seren closed her eyes, her body glowing brighter than ever. Waves of energy rippled out, scrambling the Variks signals. Enemy ships spun in confusion, their formations breaking apart. Alyra led a strike team through the chaos, cutting straight toward the command ship like a blazing arrow. Daniel, he joined the ground defense, rallying civilians and soldiers alike. Don't give up. If I can stand here, so can you. Humanity doesn't quit, and neither should you. His words spread like wildfire. Warriors of dozens of species fought harder, inspired not by orders, but by the stubborn courage of one human. Finally, Alyra's spear pierced the Variks command ship's core. It erupted in flames, the shockwave sending ripples across the fleet. Without leadership, the remaining Variks forces retreated into the void. The city was saved. Aftermath smoke and fire still rose from parts of Veora Prime, but the people cheered. Against impossible odds, they had won. Daniel collapsed onto the steps of the council hall, exhausted, bruised, but alive. Alyra approached, blood and ash on her armor, yet smiling. You fought with no weapon, no training, yet you turned the tide. You are a warrior, Daniel Cross. Seren knelt beside him, her glow soft and gentle. And more than a warrior, you are a beacon. You reminded us of what we had forgotten. Daniel laughed weakly. All I did was survive. That's kind of humanity's specialty. A husband, a hero in the days that followed. Veora Prime rebuilt. The council honored Daniel, naming him humanity's first ambassador to the stars. But the title didn't matter as much to him as the people beside him. On a quiet evening, he stood with Alira and Seren beneath the twin moons of the city. "I don't know how I got here," Daniel admitted. "I thought I was signing up for money. Instead, I got both of you, and a galaxy that somehow thinks I'm important." Alira smirked and placed a hand on his chest. "You are important. Not because of destiny, but because of choice. You chose to stand. That makes you mine." Seren's gentle voice followed like a song. "And mine. A husband, a partner, a dreamer. Not by accident, but by truth." Daniel looked at them both, his heart full. He had not gained wealth, but he had gained something far greater. Love, trust, and a place in a galaxy that now respected humanity. As the stars shimmered above, Daniel finally smiled with certainty. He was no longer just a desperate man chasing money. He was a husband, a friend, a hero, and humanity's story among the stars was only just beginning.